Session on August 6, 2019, 10 a.m., Commissioners Courtroom, Brazos County Administration Building, 200 South Texas Avenue, Suite 106. First item on the agenda is invocation, pledge of allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flag. Commissioner Bear will lead these.
Please bow with me. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, and thank you for the many abundant blessings that you bestow upon us. Please be mindful and look out for the families and the loved ones of the victims of the mass shootings in Dayton and in El Paso. Please comfort them as they go through their mourning process. Please also look out for our first responders and EMS and our military overseas who protect us. Thank you for the opportunity to do meaningful work on behalf of the citizens of Brazos County. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Commissioner. Second item on the agenda is call for citizens' input and our concerns. Hearing none, we will consider and take action on agenda items 3 through 21. Number 3 is Proclamation 19-030, declaring September as Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. There wasn't anybody here today. I don't think that's going to be given, I think, at a different ceremony. So number 4 is approval of the job description, temporary attendant buildings.
Move approval A.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve A. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 5 is request from the Expo Center for payment authorization to Diamond A Ranch in the amount of $9,000 for cattle for the state 4-H horse show. Purchase order was not obtained in advance.
Move. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 6 is request from Expo Center for payment authorization to Randall Britton in the amount of $490 for 7 coastal rye large square bales of hay used in the state 4-H horse show. Purchase order was not obtained in advance.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
It's a
Oh.
fabulous show out there.
It was. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 7 is request for Brazos Center for payment authorization to TK Sales in the amount of $172.50 for Brazos Center auto scrubber parts. Purchase order was not obtained in advance.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 8 is request from Brazos Center for payment authorization to Sky Action Sports in the amount of $175.32 for a drain boat repair on the Kawasaki Mule. Purchase order was not obtained in advance.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 9 is request from Brazos Center for payment authorization to Ashley and Company in the amount of $133.40 for the spring bridal show setup. Purchase order was not obtained in advance.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 10 is request from Road and Bridge for payment authorization to University Title in the amount of $903. Purchase order was obtained in advance. However, the cost of services exceeded the estimated amount.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 11 is no award RFP CIP 19-618 I and GN road failure remediation.
Move. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 12 is information release contract with Texas Workforce Commission related to the Eagle Program approved on June 11, 2019 for Constable Precinct 1. This contract begins October 1, 2019.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 13 is presentation of the Brazos County proposed budget for fiscal year 2019-2020. Well, this will,
I'm sorry.
I think Irene's going to pull up the
You gotta
screen
make your
and
presentation. Okay. Well, the judge got it. It's done.
okay, so so this is the proposed budget for 2020. I'm going to click the next one. And so here are the highlights. As we go through it, we'll look at appraised value, proposed 2020 budget, proposed tax rate, debt service, personnel, compensation, retirement, health insurance, and general capital improvements. The 2019 appraised value, or 2018 appraised value was $17.2 billion, and the 2019 is $18.4 billion. And of that increase, $527.2 million is new improvements. So the rest is an increase in value overall in the county. The 2020 proposed budget is $249.5 million, and the current budget is $247.5 million, so it's an increase of $2 million. So here's the budget summary of all the funds that we address in the county budget. So you can see that the health endowment fund looks like a huge number. What we did was budget this whole amount of money, $803,500. That health endowment fund is that's money, that's tobacco settlement money that was given by the state to counties a good many years ago. And what we did this year was go ahead and budget the whole amount. It's been sitting there in a fund balance, and we used some of that 3 or 4 years ago to help build the tax office. But this is what's remaining in the fund and what we've been gathering in. And so we went ahead and budgeted. That doesn't necessarily mean we'll spend it, but you can't use it if you don't have it. And so, and that money could be used for, there was no restrictions to it when the state sent that money to counties, because it was a reimbursement for funds already spent on uncompensated health care. So those were unrestricted funds. But anyway, we went ahead and plugged them in the budget. Doesn't necessarily mean we'll spend them. But then we had special revenue fund is an increase of 7, grant funds an increase of 4, debt service of 4, and capital projects dropped by 40%. You know, we've got some things off the books that we're moving forward and getting projects done, and so that's the bulk of why that went down 40%. And then the proprietary fund is up 4%. So it's a total increase of 0.83. And then the effective tax rate is 0.465318, and that's the tax rate that would bring in the same amount of money this year that or next year that came in this year. That would be the rate for the effective tax rate. Then in the 2019 proposed budget, the current rate is 0.485 per $100 valuation. The effective tax rate is that what we just looked at, 0.465318, and the proposed tax rate is 0.4975. We've got a number of projects. I can tell you that the county has been really frugal with as we move forward getting projects done, recognizing the potential issues in the future. There are projects that, like road projects and and things that we needed to budget for that are going to be we will need to be able to do, and we felt like we probably should increase the tax rate to try to bring in enough funds to try to get some of those things done. We've got some road projects that are. I had Road and Bridge take a look at the next 5 years, and I think they came up with about $64 million worth of roads that potentially over the next 5 years would need to be rehabbed and rebuilt. And so with all that in mind, and with the needs of the county just growing, we felt like it's appropriate. I don't like doing it, but I felt like it was appropriate to increase the tax rate to try to take care of that over the next 2 or 3 years in the budgets. Then the historical tax rates, it's been the total tax rate has been 48.5 since 2015, even before that, I believe. But anyway, the 2019 proposed tax rate is 0.4975. So it's an increase of 1 1/4 from this past year. And so the total debt service currently, if we were to pay off the debt that the county owes today, it would take $89 million, $272,629 to pay off the tax date, and the total total debt, and then the principal and interest. That's how it breaks down to principal and interest. And that second item there is the annual requirement is $10 million a year, $10,201,000, and of that, the principal is $7,270,000, and the interest is $2,931,000. So here's the personnel highlights. Under the county judge, what I did was eliminated the executive assistant position and created 2 positions under that. The workload for the administrative assistant was difficult to get it all done with one person, so we created an administrative specialist and a special projects administrator. And those workloads the workload that was there has been split between those positions. And then we created 2 more part-time transition trainings. We use those positions as the need comes up. Some department may need a part-time if they're having a transition in staff, they may need a position to be able to get somebody trained before somebody else leaves. And so that's the kind of thing that we've used those positions for. We created 2 more, and then a temporary transition training is also created in there. And then under pretrial bond supervision, we've created a full-time pretrial intervention position. The workload that the pretrial bond supervision has been doing is just, it's unbelievable, the kind of work that they've had to do with 2 part-time people. And so we listened and decided that there was a need there for a full-time pretrial intervention. There is a fee that is associated with cases that actually helps offset the cost of those positions, and so it looks like that the fees that are coming in will actually pay for that the 2 part-time positions that still exist, and then this full-time position that has been created. And then in IT, we created an AV technician. All of the needs for audio, video in all the courtrooms has increased, and the young man who deals with all that he's got a lot on his plate, and we felt like there was another position to help back him up and do that same workload was certainly justified. And so we plugged in an AV technician position under IT. Then in the district attorney's office, I put an assistant district attorney. I talked with Jarvis. We talked a lot about workload in the courts and and how we might be able to relieve some of that. And Jarvis came up with a program, and he's been really, in my opinion, really good about trying to figure out how to get cases through in a more timely fashion. But anyway, this position would be a first offender drug, to handle the first offender drug program, and it would be to try to not only provide consequences for actions, but the opportunity for treatment, and then we live in a community with Texas A&M and Blinn and lots of students, and hopefully maybe the case can be settled before it actually gets into court and they have a felony on their record when they're a student here. So that's a program that he believes will help out in trying to keep cases down. When they actually get to court, it'll be a short amount of time. It won't be like they're sitting in the on the docket for a year or 2 or 3, and which has been a complaint in the past. So that's one way that he felt like that it would help handle that load. And so we plugged an assistant district attorney in, and then an investigative assistant. That is to help with the increasing requirements under the Michael Morton Act. The prosecutors are charged with making sure that any evidence has got to be given to the defense attorneys, and you got to document that you gave it to them, because if something happens a year or 2 later and they say, well, I didn't see that, well, then you got to be able to prove that you did give it to them. And so that investigative assistant would help make sure that all that's happening. Under the district clerk, there's 2 clerk 1s that have been created here, but it's doing away with a clerk 4 position and to create 2 clerk 1 positions. When Gabe came to us, he felt like he could make better use of the clerk 1 positions than a clerk 4 position, and there's a retirement going to happen over there, and so that's what we tried to do, was accommodate how the district clerk felt like would be best work with his office. So it creates 2, but it's really a net of 1 because 1 position's being done away with at the end of October. And then there's 2 temporary clerks positions created under the district clerk archival fund. The district clerk and county clerk too have funds in their archival fund too that comes in from court cases, and it can only be used for archival of records. And so that's where this will come from. It won't come from, that's how this will get paid for. It won't get paid for with property tax. It's going to be these 2 positions. This temporary clerk position will get paid for out of the archival fund. And then also in the county clerks, they have a management fund that a part-time clerk position is being created and it'll get paid for out of that. Then under the jail, we created another work crew officer most of that work will happen in the jail, so we won't have to provide a van for this work crew, but they'll do a lot of work in the jail. And then if one of whether it's the Expo or maybe Road and Bridge or something, if those deputies are off, then this position could then take a van that's already out there and make sure that all the other work that's needed to be done can be done without actually having to buy another van, because most of the time this one will be working inside the jail. And then under the medical division, we added 2 EMT positions. Wayne and the sheriff showed us the workload that of having to pass out meds and take blood pressure and all the things that the medical staff over there have to do, and I really don't know how y'all were able to handle all that. And of course, I mean, that's the kind of thing that can get the county and you know, the jail into trouble if you're not keeping up with all that and recording all that. So we felt like it was appropriate to add the 2 positions in the jail for the medical end of it. And then we added a position in Constable Precinct 2. They have they handle the backup over at the courthouse with when bailiffs are off, and that workload has increased significantly. In fact, I got an email yesterday from courts. I'm not sure how we're going to be able to handle it, but there's a lot of work going on over there that needs to be covered. And then we've got security in this building, and that's what they do here, is security in here. So I wanted to make sure that we tried to keep somebody here as well as trying to cover what they've got over there, because if they're all over there, well, then there's no security in this building. So we added a position there to try to cover the workload that they've got. And then under the expo, we put a full-time assistant, or a full-time facilities operations assistant. We haven't added any full-time positions to the expo, I don't believe, since 2015. And I mean, you can look at their calendar and see the kind of workload that they've got out there. And I mean, they're constantly having venues renting, and you know, it's several maybe at the same time, and so it's time that we need to try to give some relief out there. You know, we'll burn all those folks out if we don't. So we put in a full-time facilities operations assistant there. The Brazos Center, we added 2 temporary event workers to the Brazos Center staff. They were having problems with these temporary workers usually are students at A&M, and most of that work goes on the weekends. And so if you only, I don't remember what the number we had of temporary workers that we actually had in their budget, but by increasing it by 2 doesn't necessarily mean it'll get spent, but it gives us the ability to have more people, more students on, and then you don't burn out the students that are working all the weekends. I mean, you know, they don't want to work every weekend. So if you had more students, you may have one student working this weekend or another student working the other weekends. So it's not like we have to, that those will be working full-time. They're not going to be full-time. They're temps, and they'll be part-time there. And then they had kind of the same situation out there with this full-time building event worker that we had at the expo. Is they were shorthanded, and there's a lot going on at the Brazos Center too, and so we needed to try to help take care of that without burning people out. So that's the reason for adding a full-time building event worker. Under records management, we added a temp transcriptionist. You know, that'll only be needed, or maybe would be used if it's needed for transcriptions. For the wellness clinic and the jail, we put in a part-time nurse practitioner to help with the load that one of our nurse practitioners at the clinic does a good bit over at the jail and pulls a lot of time, you know, away from that. So we're trying to make sure we're covering all of that, and hopefully maybe we can get. My hope would be we might do some different hours, add a little hours on in the future by doing that. But anyway, we added a part-time nurse practitioner assistant. So the total positions added were 24, and the total positions deleted were 3. So that's a net increase of 21 positions. And as we went through it, I've always tried not to add anything that I didn't really feel like that was really necessary. But in this case, I felt like it was time that we needed to try to take care of some issues that we've had with staffing. Then under the proposed compensation, it's approximately a 3% COLA for positions on the group chart, And then for staff only, additional 1% salary adjustment can be distributed at the discretion of the elected officials or department heads. And then with retirement, you know, we're funded at about 85.6, and you know, we've strived to move that up to a higher number. It's been pretty difficult because part of that is in stocks, and so you just, you know, if stocks go up or down, that can be affected. But what we did last year, we did 14.5% as we to send up for retirement. We actually went to 15.25 this year. I mean, we're not anywhere close to the problem that some retirement plans have, but we don't want to be there. We want to make sure that we're taking care of the retirement plan, and so that when people retire, that it's going to be funded. So we increased the percentage that will be funded toward retirement up to 15.25. And then health insurance cost, it was a big deal this year. Our consultant took a look at what he estimated the costs were going to be, and it looks like it's about an 18%, a little over an 18% increase in health cost. And of course, we're self-funded. Blue Cross Blue Shield is our administrator, but we actually pay for all the claims. So we to take care of that, we increased the increase of is in 2020 is an 18% increase of $15,288 per position, and in 2019 it was the 2018 to 19 was a 3% increase. So it's a pretty significant change this year for health insurance. The 2020 increase is $2,412 per year for a full-time position, and last year it was $384 per full-time position. So it's a pretty significant increase. There's some changes to here's what the additional cost for health insurance. The employee only, the county's contribution is $15,288, and then the employee cost, if you don't do the wellness program, I mean, if you do the wellness program, there's a discount. But if you don't do it, it's a fairly significant increase. But if you do the wellness program, you get a discount, and that's, you know, have your physical once a year before whatever that date is, October, I don't remember, but so there's a discount for doing that. And those are the numbers that the wellness, that the cost for what the county cost side is, and then what the employee side is, whether it's an employee only or employee and family. And then the capital project highlights, we're right now currently working through the financial software replacement, and that's a $3.2 million project. We're working on the electronic medical records, which is a $65,000 project. Then some of this is a list of equipment that's being replaced out at Road and Bridge. Sweeper, a couple of dump trucks, smooth roller, 2 track loaders at $360, an asphalt tank replacement at $200,000, and motor grader. Jail kitchen expansion was one that we've been working on and hope to get done. That's $3 million put into that project, and the AgriLife extension building is $3 million. And the J.P. Constable Precinct 1 building, we plugged in 2.047 for that project. And then equipment other is another $1 million there. And so here's kind of a summation of the replacement of vehicles. Facility service, district attorney had 1 apiece, sheriff's office had 4, the jail had 4, constable 1 has 2, constable 2 has 2, constable 3 has 1, constable 4 has 2, and road bridge has 4. So it's a total of 21. And then there's additional vehicle in the constable precinct 2 for that position that was added. And then the proposed budget is available at BrazosCountyTX.gov and then you can click on the link that's for the proposed budget for 2020. And then if we got any questions or comments, I'll be happy to do my best to answer. And then we will, do we have any comments, questions, current? If not, we'll move on to number 14, and we'll establish the date and time for public hearings of the proposed budget for fiscal year 2019-2020.
I move to establish the date and time for public hearing on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2019-2020 on August 27th, 2019 at 1:30 in Commissioners Courtroom.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. That'll be August the 27th, 2019 at 1:30.
Yes.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 15 is a proposal to increase tax revenues.
I offer a motion to approve the proposal to increase tax revenues to the proposed rate of .4975 per $100 for the 2019 tax year.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. The proposal is to raise the tax rate to .4975. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. And number 16 is to establish the dates of and times of 2 public hearings for tax revenue increase.
I'll make the motion to establish the dates and times for 2 public hearings for tax revenue increase. As follows: Tuesday, August 27, 2019 at 1:45 p.m. in the Commissioners Courtroom. Then Tuesday, September the 3rd, 2019 at 6 o'clock p.m. in the Commissioners Courtroom.
Did you say 6 o'clock?
Second.
6 o'clock.
I second the motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded to set the first public hearing as August the 27th, 2019 at 1:45, and the second public hearing as September the 3rd, 2019 at 6 p.m. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. And then we have number 17 is tax refund application for the following.
Move approval A and B.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve A and B. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 18 is Commissioners Court minutes for the following dates.
Move approval A through E.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve A through E. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 19 is budget amendments, FY 18. Let me dig through here. 18/19. $44.1 through 44.5.
Second. Oh,
Move
you
approval.
moved it.
Move approval.
Motion made and seconded to approve the budget amendments. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 20 is personnel change of status, and I believe that Brittany Sweeney from the Sheriff's Office detention was pulled from that list.
I move to approve the personnel change of status with the exception of Ms. Swain.
Sweeney.
Sweeney. In the Sheriff's Department.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the personnel change of status with that exception. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 21 is payment of claims. Claim to be paid by Brazos County, claim number 8017569 through claim number 8017771.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 22 is an acknowledgement of the county treasurers for the investment report of the quarter ending 6/30/19. Number 23 is acknowledgement of the Brazos County Emergency Services District newly elected officers for the term of 2019-2021. Steve Godby, President, John Foster, Vice President, Jill Jones, Treasurer, and Matt Andrews, Secretary. And number 24 is acknowledgement of compliance for continuing education for Christie Road Tax Assessor Collector for the period August 1, 2018 through July 31st, 2019. And 25 is acknowledgement of Community Supervision and Corrections Department proposed budget FY 2020 through 2021. And 26 is juvenile report on detention population. Linda.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. We have 28 youth presently in detention, 21 males and 7 females. 3 of those are out-of-county youth, 2 from Limestone County and 1 from Washington County. And we have 20 youth on electronic monitoring.
Thank you. Number 27, Sheriff's report on inmate population. Sheriff.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Our population is 671. That's 570 males and 101 females. We have 47 with ankle monitor or home confinement and 15 pending.
Thank you, Sheriff. Number 28 is announcement of interest items and possible future agenda topics.
Judge, I may have missed it, but did you want to announce when we'll adopt the budget? Did you already say that, maybe?
You know,
I think you don't have to. You don't have to? Okay.
okay. Hearing no announcement of interest items or possible agenda topics, number 29 is call for citizens' input and our concerns.
I've got
Michelle.
something, Judge. I was just going to give everybody a heads up here that Flint College is going to be working with federal, state, and local emergency management partners on August 14th on a full-scale active shooter exercise. So in case you happen to be out driving around that day, go by Glen and see emergency vehicles and all sorts of command vehicles there. Just be aware they're involved in an exercise and nothing else is going on. For the media partners that are here, Lynn will be reaching out to you with additional information.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. Any other citizen input and our concerns? Hearing none, we'll adjourn. Thank y'all.
How are you?